Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's video is different shapes of gems. This was actually a request video, and it was talking about when we were talking in our group about the different shapes and how to do the highlights and everything in them. This was something that was decently simple for me. Just because I was thinking about the light and everything, but apparently that doesn't come across real well. So I figured I'd do a video to sort of answer the questions. Your highlights, your shadows, and your reflected light, those are your three main things that you need for a gem, are all dictated by your gem shape. Everybody knows that my go-to is a circle because that's like my favorite shape and it's very easy to gem. So it's just the way I like it. So I've got my two here. As you can see, there's the highlight, my lamp, the shadow, and then you've got your reflected light down here. Now there's a couple of ways to do it. Now with a gem like this, I do a normal one, and I do my shadow up here, and I do change the reflected light shape oftentimes to be much more of a circle or an oval down here instead of just a curve at the bottom. But it can be either. It doesn't really matter on that one, as long as it kind of shows the same curvature as the edge of your gem, or your gem shape in general. Okay, so let's move on. Anywhere your light is hitting, that's where your highlight's going to be, and your reflected light will be opposite. And remember, it's all dictated by the shape of your gem. So if your light is hitting up here, then this is also where your shadow is, because your shadow is going to be under your highlight. Highlight is where the light hits the gem. Reflected light is where it is bouncing back towards your eye through the gem. Okay? So if you've got this, and let's say that this is your side view of the gem over here, that this is like this, okay? Or what have you. So this is all bubbly. If this is bubbled here, like this, you can bring your shadow in and kind of echo it. Remember, your shadow goes a lot farther around than you think, okay? Your edges are going away from you, down, away from you, so they need to kind of be clearly defined. So you want to give them a little bit of shadow. I personally like to bring the shadow all the way down to the bottom and just hint at it on the bottom, but that is personal choice. Because your gems can be as stylized as you want them, okay? So if your light's hitting here, this is where your highlight's going to be. Your shadow is under your highlight, so you do that first. And then your reflected light, where the light is bouncing back up at you, is going to be down here opposite of your highlight, your reflected light. So your mid-tone is going to be all in here. And of course, blended and look really pretty. And mine isn't blended and doesn't look really great. So your shadow is darkest up here. It fades out into the middle of your gem. where your light is hitting and beginning to kind of make the color of the gem show as it penetrates the gem. And then down here is where the light actually hits the paper and then is coming back up at your eye. Okay? So just remember that your reflected light and your highlight are opposite of each other. And your highlight also dictated by the shape of your gem. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So, there's also been questions about squares. It's the same thing. Personally, I find that doing a straight to a straight is a little bit more difficult, a little bit more tricky, which is why when I do square gems like this, I generally have the light coming from one of the corners instead of straight onto it. Straight on is fine, and you can definitely do it. I prefer the look of it coming from a corner. And so, if it comes from a corner, then your reflected light is going to be opposite it. And going to go along the bottom and these two edges, depending on where your highlight is, where your light is coming from. So it's just opposite. So this is your shadow up here. I'm going to make sure my edges are kind of darkened. Just like that. Trying to like blend it a little bit too to make it look decent, while still going quickly so that we don't run out of time. And of course, this is all blended out, looks good, you know, use your imagination to make it blended out and stuff, because this is just, oh my god, I'm dying here. Okay, so one of the things to remember about square shapes, shapes that have points and such, is that they're rounded on top. They are rounded on top. So that means that when you're doing a highlight into a corner, they're not sharp. Like they don't like, let me try and show you. They don't do this. Highlights don't have corners like this, because your light is hitting a rounded object. So they don't have corners. Now they can start at your corner, but it's rounded. So the side view of your gem, this gem, is still going to be like this. It's not like this. It's not a little block of glass sitting there with light hitting just the very edge of it and being sharp like that, okay? It's still rounded. So let me get this a little bit more dark so you can see it better. That gem looks so bad. Oh my gosh. I'm like cracking myself up. Okay, so what I generally do is I make it break right here, because I break my highlights, but I round it out a little bit and go from there. And then I'm following the contour of my gem, which is straight. But you're still hitting a rounded object. And the light is not going to bend around it, so you're not going to get it going around the curve of it. You're going to have it break. You might have more reflections over here. Sometimes I like to add the little bit of roundedness over here. But see how I'm rounding that to make it look like it's curved up top? Because it is, in theory. But, yeah. So you've got this curve going on because your gem is curved on top. Because they're glass. Or so we pretend. Okay? So, if you go straight on, and then just, you're going to put your highlight just straight across there, and your reflected light straight across here. You can bend it up around the edges, bring some highlight, down across here if that's what you're doing. Just remember, they're opposite. Wherever you are, it's opposite, and it is dictated by the shape of your gem. If your gem looks like this, and you are trying to make this look shiny, you're not going to put a round highlight or round reflected light down here. It's not going to work out. Light hitting something is going to go around it, go through it, but it's not going to hold its own shape. Light is fluid, basically. It's going to go by what your gem is. So, if it hits something, it's going to go through it, illuminate the actual gem. It's not going to have a mind of its own and be like, no, I'm hitting... My light is coming through a window, and it's rectangular or squares, and so then you're... I'm gonna do a funny here. So, like I said, it's just not going to have a mind of its own where it decides that it's going to be a square or a rectangle. Okay? It's going to make sense, I promise. So, let's see, we've got our reflected light. What's going to happen is not that this reflected light is going to be a square. It's not going to do that. It will hit the edge of your gem over here. I've got too much shadow over here. Oh well. I'm doing this quick. But it's not going to be a square down here. This is not going to be your reflected light. Although, that looks kind of funny. It looks like it's a little house now. But that your reflected light is not going to do that. Okay? So, that looks hilarious. It's going to conform to your gem. Same with this. This hitting this is going to, even though the light coming through here has this across it, and you can always incorporate that into your gem, or into your highlight, excuse me. you're still getting oh my gosh, come on, pen. Thank you. Okay, so you can do that just by showing that the light's going to come across here. It's coming down here. And you can have your highlight do that and show that it's coming through a window or whatnot. That's a horrible representation, oh my gosh. But you kind of get the idea. Okay? Either way, it's still going to be... This is so horrible. It's still going to be dictated by your gem shape. Whatever it is. Your light is going to bend in and around your gem shape. Okay? So, just remember you've got your shadow. Your highlight goes on top of the shadow. And directly across from wherever that is going to be your reflected light. It's down here. Okay? So just remember, it's directly across. Shadow goes under your highlight. Highlight is up here on top. Sitting on top. Sitting on top. And remember that this space right here, where you've got that edge coming up before the highlight, that is important so that people can see, or so that you can see actually. This space over here is important so that you can see that it's actually hitting on top of the gem instead of at the side of it. If you put your highlight too close to the edge, it looks like you've got a flashlight sitting on your paper and hitting the gem from here, like an actual flashlight, like over here. Okay? That's not how it is. Your light is coming from above somewhere. Excuse me, I hit my lamp. Your highlight is coming from above, like a lamp, from up here, and hitting down on a rounded surface. Okay? So, I hope this made sense, at least a little bit. Let me know in the comments below if you have more questions, if I need to be clearer about anything. But I really hope that this helps with you making gems and making sense of things. Okay? So, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.